First-time customers at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com receive $25 in WagerBucks after your first initial purchase. All you have to do is sign up, make your purchase, and you'll get $25 in credit.
Teddy Covers, West Moneyline writes, hey guys, Brett and Teddy, good today. Well, we're going to certainly, and I'm of course wearing orange, lead story, Tuesday night football. And man, I'll ask you this, did Tennessee make a statement last night?
No, because weeknight games, nobody's making a statement. You know what I mean? The teams aren't used to playing on Tuesdays. Again, only the third Tuesday game since 1946. One of them was in 1946. The other one was in 2010, and then one yesterday. So they're rare. And with all the weeknight games, the Thursday night games, the Tuesday night games, I take the results, I put it in my database, but I'm not over adjusting off of those games. Buffalo, they shot this for the whole night with the shotgun pointed straight at their foot. Penalties, turnovers. The Bills made a lot of mistakes. The one thing that did stand out that is worth noting, though, about that game, last year when Ryan Tannehill became the Titans starting quarterback, all of a sudden their red zone offense went nuts. And they were the single best red zone team in the NFL for the rest of the season by margin. Last night, the previous three games, Tennessee had not been great in the red zone. They were 0-3 against the spread. Last night, 6 red zone tries, 6 touchdowns for the Tennessee Titans. That may be a buy sign moving forward.
Yeah, and you know, Teddy, what really stood out to me, and I obviously watched the game, was, and I've been watching all of Tennessee's games, this team is changing their offensive dynamic, who they define themselves as, right in front of our eyes. I mean, the Beast is just not getting the ball like he did last year. Tannehill is throwing deep. Long 9.1 pass yards attempt, number 1 in the league since he took over at Tennessee. This ain't an under team anymore.
No, they aren't. Although, I mean, you want to make fun of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had one of those stiff arms last night that's going to be on every highlight reel forever. Poor Josh Norman was on the end of it. And all it wasn't a touchdown run, it was a first down run, but it was one of those stiff arms. You're like, I remember this guy, and I don't want to get in his way when he's trying to, certainly if I'm a cornerback, trying to make those kind of tackle. Derrick Henry is a beast of a running back, and he showed that, obviously, last night.
I want to shout out to mid-major Matt. He gave Ralph another prop that we gave out yesterday on WagerTalk Today, and it was a winner. Really happy about that. I bet it. Did you? Not only did I bet it, and I'm going to talk to him about this on the NFL Presidential, I'm watching the first quarter to Viv, and I'm like, is he playing? Like, do you see him on the field? I think I might have lost this bet because the guy forgot to show up. Then he goes up in the second half.
So one of the things about player props is all of a sudden your attention on the game's a little bit more focused. You know, you're like, did they get a first down? Okay, who got the first down? You know, you're sitting there with the box score. You know, did he get three carries for 7 yards or 3 carries for 8 yards or whatever it is? Certainly, and that's why the leagues have put their arms around gambling with big hugs. They understand, because as you get more into betting, you're clearly going to be more interested in watching. And watching intently as opposed to kind of, having it on in the background. That's what the leagues want, and that's why we have the gambling that we do here in 2020.
Teddy, we got a big show, and I'll get into it in 1 second, but I do want to stick on that topic real quick because it's interesting. Do you guys have the 50-50 lottery in the football games?
No, that's purely Canadian.
No, it isn't. It does exist in the hockey games in America. Basically, you buy a ticket. You buy a ticket at the game. It's a raffle. What?
It does exist in the hockey games in America. We don't have raffles for hockey games in America, dude. I don't know what.
Yeah, I think you're. I think you're wrong on this, but fine, we'll move on. Marc Lawrence joining us today. He's going to take apart Pittsburgh and Miami in college football. Georgia and Alabama. What a game that's going to be. And of course, in Marc Lawrence fashion, he wants to stick to another high-profile game, Browns versus Steelers. Arthur DiCesare up after him. Ralph Michaels and Eddie, what's your big game breakdown?
We're going to talk the Dodgers and the Braves. All of a sudden, things looking very suspect for LA, and the money's pouring in on the Dodgers this morning. We'll talk about that game during Big Game Breakdown.
Okay, brother, well, let's bring in the old guard. The new guard, the always relevant guard. Marc Lawrence, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing just terrific, Prez, Teddy. And let me say this, in regard to your 50-50 propositions, I'm a Florida Panthers season ticket holder, have been for a long time. And we do indeed have 50-50 raffles. They're for people in attendance, Teddy, that are at the games to buy a ticket.
Yes.
And your number's called out, you split the pot with the house. It's not a gamble.
Yeah, totally.
So,
I totally get that, but it's not like you're going to the 7-Eleven and getting a I
didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I thought we were talking about like the Canadian lottery that you're betting. All right, you're right. I'm wrong. Hey, listen. You're
Joe,
right.
tape
I'm wrong.
This, Joe, tape it again. Say it, Teddy. Silence from everyone.
Lawrence was right because Marc Lawrence agreed with him, and I was wrong.
Yeah, so now I'd like to make my point. Wouldn't it be interesting if at the NFL football games or these 50-50s, they aren't just randomly pulled out of the hat? Wouldn't it be interesting if they had proposition bets and stuff where you filled out a card, 5 prop bets, and, everybody who gets all 5 right splits the pot, et cetera, et cetera? I think it would be so much more fun than just a raffle where they pull a name out of the hat. That's my question to you, Marc Lawrence.
Well, that's a little bit, it's a little bit more like horse racing in a mutual pool. If you're going to talk about doing just that and splitting a pot or a betting pool, it would be something more like that as opposed to what we're used to in sports world, 11-10 odds, so forth and whatnot.
I think it would make it interesting. Let's get going. Pittsburgh going into Miami. Tough loss for Miami last week. Obviously, we expected it. Big underdog. Pittsburgh's not playing the best ball. Plus 10.5 now. Catching an angry Miami team. What do you like in this game?
I'm not giving up on this Pitt Panther team just yet here, Lawrence. They're coming in here, as you mentioned, off back-to-back losses, both as favorites, by the way. And in fact, last year they dumped as a favorite against Miami in this football game. So they got to be in a nasty, surly mood coming into this contest. They also happen to bring over 150 yards the better defense into this football game. And that's what Pat Narduzzi's all about. I can look for this team to go back to square one in this contest. Miami's going to have a very difficult time getting back up to the level at which they were in preparation for the Clemson game last week. They come up really short. They were rubbed out and embarrassed, but it's tough to get up psychologically to the same level this week that they were the previous week. And just remember this, guys, the last 12 times Pittsburgh has been a conference double revenge team. They've had double revenge in a conference game. They've won 11-1 to the spread in these roles. I think Pittsburgh plus the points takes down Miami straight up on the field in Miami.
Wow. So are we expecting a significant hangover here from the Hurricanes? You talked about the preparation and focus they had for the Clemson game. And not only just to lose that game, but to really get outclassed start to finish. Are the Canes a team we expect to have a hangover? Clearly, based on your analysis, sounds like that's the case.
I think that is the case, Teddy. They're a very young football team. They're not experienced. It's not like a Dabo Swinney Clemson team, that's been there and has a ton of experience with upperclassmen. That's not the case with Miami here. A lot of young kids. Derek King, the quarterback, comes over here. They haven't been this far before. They tasted some success early here. They met with some disappointment last week, and I think that will linger this week.
He's Marc Lawrence. You can find him at sportsmemo.com. Writer of the famous playbook. I was taking a look at it last night. Shout out to you. Thanks for sending it. Georgia, Bama, Mark. This is the game of the year, right? At least up to date. Georgia, tough start last week, bad snap to begin the game, but then they really laid the smackdown on a good Tennessee team. Look great on defense and on offense. A nicely balanced football team. And anytime anyone plays Bama, they got to be up for this. +6, a total of 57.5, which is very low for Alabama. How do we break this game apart?
Well, the spread's low for Alabama as well in the game, Lawrence, but there's a reason why. The odds makers aren't falling asleep here right now. They realize just how good this Georgia football team is. And in fact, they have the number 2 overall defense in the FBS right now of all the 75 teams that are playing. This has got to be a title game preview that we're about to see here on Saturday. What I like about Georgia and Kirby Smart, yes, he is a former assistant of Nick Saban, and Nick Saban has beat them 21 times in a row, but he's never played a team like the Georgia Bulldogs in those 21 wins. Here's a nice stat for Georgia here. The last 7 times that they've been undefeated and they're faced an undefeated opponent, Georgia has won all 7 of those games straight up on the scoreboard. You've got an Alabama football team here that is one of 8 teams that lives in the SEC with a 400-yard defense. That's got to keep Nick Saban up at night just thinking about what's not going on with his defense here, because that's what he's first and foremost all about. And here's a great stat as well. Nick Saban, in his career in FBS games, when his rushing offense is less than his opponent's rushing offense, he's just 1-10 to the spread and 0-5 in the SEC. I think there's an upset here. That streak stops at 21. I got Georgia taking down Alabama.
I appreciate your strong convictions today, Mark. We talk about Pitt winning outright, Georgia winning outright. You're calling for 2 major upsets in college football this weekend. And of course, so far this year in college football, if you've bet every underdog blindly, you've cashed, 58.5% of the time, I think, from Ralph Michaels' database. Really good information there. Do you expect that trend to continue? And is that part of the reason why you're looking at these dogs? Just because this has been a dog year in college football, the dogs continue to cash.
It's been a dog year, and I think a lot of that was set up at the beginning of the season, Teddy, knowing that there weren't going to be fans in attendance and it wasn't going to be much of a home field advantage for the home teams. But now as the fans begin to infiltrate in 25% stadium fans capacity, so forth and whatnot, I think the second half of the season here, with the fan support, you're going to see home teams coming back a little closer to the norm. But in the meantime, until there's a full stadium, of which there will not be here, I'm going to look for the dog to win this game straight up.
Mark, I got a question about this. We got a lot of viewers, listeners in our chat room talking. I'd shout out Jamal, Kobe, Nate, Parlays, Jason. Anyway, it's standard procedure. Nick Saban's going to wake the boys up. It's Alabama. Nobody beats Alabama. Blah. Is this the same Alabama team that we've seen year in and year out, or is this team taking a step down?
Well, the obvious answer is they have taken a step down. We haven't seen a defense like this from Nick Saban, I don't think, back to when, my goodness, when he was in the Mid-American Conference as a head coach. But he's going to have to adjust the screws that way. I don't think it's going to happen. I think this SEC offense is going to be all about wide open offenses this football season here, and he's going to have to join the party and get along with. On the other side of the coin, Kirby Smart is still putting the screws down defensively for his football team here. They're the number 1 defense in the SEC, and that's why I think they will rule the SEC this season.
Mark, let's get into the Browns-Pittsburgh Steelers game on Sunday, and I'm really glad you picked this game. And Pittsburgh is really glad, and so is Cleveland. These 2 teams have a rivalry, but Cleveland's got to be coming into this game thinking, this is an absolute statement win. And I don't think Pittsburgh cares as much. Obviously they do. It's a division rivalry, et cetera, et cetera. But I know as a guy who plays beer league hockey, if I got a chance to beat a team that's ruled, I'm pulling out all the stops here. I like Cleveland in this game. I think we could see an upset. We saw it with Cleveland against Baltimore in the last year. Where are you going here?
Well, it's real easy to drink the Cleveland Kool-Aid right now like it was last year, what they were supposed to be. But I think it's more justified this football season here. A new head coach, a new scheme offensively and defensively. This team pounds the ball at 5.5 yards per rush. And I realize Nick Chubb's not there, but it's all about the scheme, the Kevin Stefanski scheme of running the football. They've still got great running backs here. number 2 in the league in rush attempts per game, and that's an incredibly important stat. The reason I'm calling that out is this, that if you look last year at teams in the NFL, where they ranked in yards attempts per game, of the top 10 teams, 9 of those teams made the playoffs. And in fact, the first 8 teams all made the playoffs. Cleveland realizes their ticket to the postseason is pounding the ball on the ground, which opens things up for Baker Mayfield. On the other side, you've got Pittsburgh, who's camped at home, as you guys mentioned, 4 games in a row. It's only happened 9 times have you found teams camped at home for 4 straight regular season home games. The last time that Pittsburgh went to 5-0 to open the season, they come in 4-0, was 1978. That team beat the Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl. This team is not even close to that 1978 Pittsburgh team. I think the Browns win this football game and make the statement, as you mentioned, Teddy. I've got 3 dogs on the show today. I think 3 dogs are going to win these games on the scoreboard.
So let's talk about how best to bet these opinions. All right. When you're talking about dogs you think are going to win straight up, and my general rule is anytime I'm taking a single-digit underdog, I'm going to put a percentage of my wager on the money line. When you're calling for these outright upsets, are you betting 50-50 point spread versus money line? Are you telling people bet 2/3 on the point spread, 1/3 on the money line? Or is it, I think they're going to win, but let's bet it the safe way and take the points as opposed to taking the plus prices on the money line? What's your take on that?
I think it's proportionate, Teddy, to the amount of take on the money line. You know, if you're taking a double-digit dog to win on a money line, obviously the return is going to be much, much more than taking a 3 or 4 point dog. So, you know, you're not going to go out and lay half of your bankroll on that double-digit dog on a money line because the take is going to be much, much stronger than it would be as a shorter price. So, in a game like this, Cleveland-Pittsburgh, I'm going to put 1/3 of my wager on the money line. In fact, on all 3 of these games, I'm going to play 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3 to the dogs and the money lines, along with taking the points to win this football game to cash the ticket.
Marc Lawrence, I just want to let everybody know. Teddy, by the way, that was an outstanding question, and one I was interested in the answer to. Cleveland is plus 167. Pittsburgh is plus 310. I think there's less value on that Pittsburgh money line versus the 10.5 spread than the Cleveland one. And Georgia is plus 180. Guys, I know you all love parlays. $100 pays $3,000 if you pull that one off, Mark. I won't be betting the parlays. I don't do parlays, but I know our viewers love them. So $10 pays $300.
Let me say this real quick, Lawrence, before I hop off here about parlays. I'm not a big parlay guy. Only in money lines will I make parlays because of returns like you just mentioned here. So if you're taking 3 teams and looking to put them together in a money line, you might as well put a ribbon on that bow and parlay them as well.
Mark, have you taken a look? And I know you got to run. You got like 700 shows lined up for the day. Have you taken a look at the odds page at WagerTalk.com?
You know, I haven't gotten there. I heard that you were putting one together. That's the next thing I'm going to do when we hop off here during the day. I'm really excited to see just that, and I can only guess it's nothing but sensational.
You know, I mean, Rick and his team have just done an incredible job with that odds page. You got to check it out. And I'm going to ask you about it next Wednesday when you're on with us because we value your opinion. You've seen these odds pages from the first one Don Best put up to the one we just put up. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anything you got to promote?
Big game in the National Football League on Sunday, Lawrence. Look for that at sportsmemo.com and obviously a strong card in college football as well. Check it out all online, sportsmemo.com.
Mark, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, we're going to be right back. Arthur DiCesare, Teddy Covers, myself, Ralph Michaels, so much more to talk about. See you in 30.
First-time customers at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com receive $25 in WagerBucks after your first initial purchase. All you have to do is sign up, make your purchase, and you'll get $25 in credit.
Welcome back to Wager Talk Today. Teddy Covers and the Prez breaking down the world of sports and sports betting for you on a Wednesday. It's time for a little book report. Bad beats, bets, and bad for the books from last night. In the NFL, we talked about the game at the top, the Titans beating up on Buffalo. It was Titans money. It was plus 3.5 down to plus 3. It was basically two-way action on the total. It was bet down and then bet back up again. Buffalo looked like a team who didn't know where they were playing. And the Titans finally get their first spread cover after 3 wins, no covers to open the season. Tennessee gets the money. Tennessee takes the money. It was an okay result for the house. It wasn't a game that was a huge decision. I talked a little bit earlier about the Titans going 6 for 6 in the red zone last night, scoring touchdowns. Last year, they had the number 1 red zone offense in the NFL. Let's see, MLB from last night. There was two-way action on the Astros and Rays side. Lots of over money. Looked good after 6, didn't look good after 9. No runs in the 7th, 8th, or 9th. The Astros blew a bases-loaded chance in that game that probably killed their season and killed all the over bets in that contest. So that was a decent game for the house. And, of course, the Dodgers, they made things real interesting in the 9th. They still lost, but the game did get over the total. After Kershaw got scratched, we saw it reopen about minus 125, and nothing but Dodgers money up to minus 145. Nothing but over money. The over money cashes. Obviously, the Dodger money was no good. Split result for the books in that game. And, of course, if you're a Dodgers fan, seeing Bellinger on third, if you're a baseball fan, you see Bellinger on third base, 2 outs in the 9th after he did that triple, and you're like, let's get one of these great postseason at-bats. And then A.J. Pollock, second pitch, grounds out. Ball game over. Over cashes, Dodgers don't. Mixed result for the book. Certainly an okay day for the house last night. Nothing dramatic one way or the other. Back to you, Prez.
Great stuff, Teddy. I was on Tampa Bay last night. 20-5 MLB playoff baseball run, dude. I'm smiling because, I mean, you know, we do this all the time. You could go a year without a 20-5 run.
What I always say about, like, when you're hot, you basically spend a lot of the year trading money, and you make your money when you're hot. You know, if you can avoid the really nasty cold stretches, you're going to go through extended stretches where you're picking about 50-50, and you're going to go through a handful of stretches where you're just seeing things clearly and games are breaking right for you. And that's when you make your money for the whole year. So kudos, man. Congrats on the great MLB run. But I hope it continues right through the World Series for you.
It is funny though, and you know this. We've done this for decades. When you're 6-6, 4-4, the baseball game, you put out a pick. You watch it, but it's like whatever. It's a regular pick. Every play when you're like 16-5, 17-5, 18-5, you're freaking out. All of a sudden, every game has so much more importance because you're just gaining clients all the way through. Last night I was in a state, bases loaded, Altuve with all his mistakes up to the plate. I'm like, home run, and you redeem yourself. I forget I'm betting sometimes. I get caught up in the whole drama of here's a guy, has the yips, can't get the ball to first or second, has a chance to redeem himself live on TV. Go Altuve. Oh, no, wait, I'm on Tampa Bay. Boo Altuve. It's a fascinating life you and I lead. Guys, promo today, WTT19, WTT19. You get 3 days of any handicapper at Sports Memo or WagerTalk for 3 days. It's for new customers only, and after you have used up your 3 days, we will add $25 of wager bucks to use as well. So literally, Teddy, only $19 for 3 days of your my Ralph, Marc Lawrence, anybody's plays. First-time buyers only. And we had a guy yesterday ask us, Prez, can I wait to buy it on Friday so I can get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? The answer is yes. Whenever you buy that package, WTT19, it starts on that very day. I also want to welcome in Perfect Rotation, Johnny Outlaw, Trans Canada. Trans Canada writes, Teddy, because you were doing the big game, the 6Bs. He writes, notice how the chat room went quiet? Teddy's speaking now. My response, thanks for the implied insult.
Yeah, you know how it is, Prez. There's a pecking order here. You'll get there.
Oh, Teddy. Hugs, baby. Anyway, we got Ralph Michael coming up, but before him, Arthur DiCesare, and he is must listen to, everybody. So we're going to be right back in 30. This is going to be an outstanding segment.
First-time customers at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com receive $25 in WagerBucks after your first initial purchase. All you have to do is sign up, make your purchase, and you'll get $25 in credit.
We're back. Teddy covers the Prez. You're watching Wager Talk today. 300 of you guys in the chat room having a yap. Make sure to hit that like button for us, please. It's so greatly appreciated. And it means a lot to Teddy and I. We don't take any of you guys for granted. Teddy, I absolutely love this segment. Arthur comes on. That's so informative. I'm excited to sit back and listen, man. Thinking maybe I'll pull out the Playboy.
I hope not. Hey, Arthur, how are you today?
Brother?
Oh, Teddy, Prez, doing good. And Prez, please don't pull out the Playboy.
Arthur,
that's a pretty please,
man. No, I gotta find it. It's Arthur. I think you would appreciate this. You would appreciate this. It's from 1969. So I think that was around. It was the year I was born.
Yeah. And that's the only Playboys you're going to find in this day and age. Arthur, what's your opinion about Playboy?
I read the articles.
Arthur, nice to have you, man. We're excited. I absolutely love this segment. We're going to talk where the money went, where the money's going. And Teddy, like always, will do most of the questions. Teddy, take it away.
This is how much Prez loves you. All right. Yesterday we had Dave Sherapin on the show. He was calling him Arthur DiCesare. You know, any bookmaker is now Arthur DiCesare. You know, you were like
he's a verb. He's a verb,
Teddy.
It's like, hey, exactly. Teddy's like, what do we have on today? We have an Arthur DiCesare. He's like, oh, who? Dave Sherapin. Why'd you call him Arthur DiCesare? Because he's a verb. Teddy, please take this over.
I'm trying, dude, but you keep yapping. Arthur, of course, works at the Link Racing Sportsbook on the Las Vegas Strip. But let's start with that, Arthur. How's business on the Strip right now? Weekdays versus weekends. I heard that the Encore is going to be reclosing. Is it busy in there? What's the action like at the Link these days?
Yeah, you know, Teddy, I mean, obviously ever since we got, back going, I've been back to work since the beginning of August. Weekdays are slow. But weekends, weekends have been good. Weekends have been busy. Weekends have been steady. We've had lines. It seemed like a normal weekends, but weekdays have definitely, you've seen the slowness of the weekdays, but to me, nothing has changed on the weekend. The weekends are still a lot of energy, a lot of people, a lot of chatter. So weekends are always great.
So if you're planning your trip to Vegas right now, plan for the weekend as opposed to coming in on a Tuesday or Wednesday. The convention business just isn't there right now, and that makes all the difference in this town. Wouldn't you agree, Arthur? You guys hosting a lot of conventions? No one's hosting conventions because nothing's going on.
Yeah, that you're 100% right, Ted. I mean, this town is run on conventions, and the fact that we don't have any right now, it hurts because, you'll see during the week, you see a lot of guys and girls walking around with, these things around their neck saying we're from this convention, that convention, and you just haven't seen that in the last couple months. So that has definitely hurt the weekday business.
Let's talk about some games. And I want to start with college football and these weeknight games. We actually just got a question on Twitter from our friend Mid-Major Matt. He says, can you guys touch on the money coming in on the college football game tonight? Is it sharp money? And which which side are they backing. Let's talk about these weeknight college football games. We have Coastal Carolina, Lafayette tonight, Georgia State, Arkansas State tomorrow. They're TV games. Are they getting TV game action? Are they getting any action? What's your take on the weeknight college football from the group of 5 conferences?
Well, Teddy, as far as that goes, I mean, we're lucky right now to actually have those games. Normally in a normal type setting, if we were in a normal world, NHL would just be starting, NBA would just be starting again. So, you would have, weekday NBA and NHL games. So obviously we still have playoff baseball going. So to have these football games, even having an NFL game yesterday and having some, lower end college football games, yes, they are quote unquote TV games and it's going to be the only thing on. But yeah, people are going to bet them. And people like to get these games, the action when they've always had their Wednesday night schedule has always been great. People like to bet those. So yeah, we've definitely seen action on them. Listen, they're not going to get the handle of an Alabama, Georgia. We know that. But people are definitely betting them. I would say so far tonight on the game, Lafayette has definitely, the spread has moved half a point. So it was 7, now it's 7.5. I think people are on Coastal Carolina a little bit just because Lafayette has not been good as a favorite so far. They had a great opening game against Iowa State, but they have not been good in their last 2 games. And Coastal Carolina has actually buried everybody they played. So this will be a very interesting game to watch tonight.
But you're seeing a little bit of money, even though the lines come from moved up from 7 to 7.5. You're saying that there's a fair bit of support for the underdog in this ball game, which says to me, is this one of these games where the pros are betting one way and the Joes are betting the other, or is not enough action to really make that assessment?
Yeah, I would say there's probably not enough action to give that actual opinion. But I would say this. I don't know. I think the public, when they don't know these teams, they're just going to look at the team. They're going to look at Lafayette and say, oh, wow, they're ranked. They're 21st. They're at home. So I think the public could be saying, let's take the favorite here. Let's take the home team. Let's take the right team. And then, sharps could look at it and say, hey, I'm getting 7.5. And, I'll roll the dice with that. So, yeah, not enough, though, to really fairly say which side is going which.
And that's such an important point, Arthur, and I'm glad you made it. I really am, because everybody's like, the sharp money's here, the square money's there, the public loves this. And there's so many games where it's not necessarily that clear. And a sharp group might have liked him at +8, but at -7, a different group would go in the other direction. So people like simple narratives. For many of these games, there really isn't a simple narrative.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. I think you have to take every game and every spot, it's its own thing. And you're absolutely right. One sharp group could love it at one number. Another group could like it at the opposite number. So it just really depends on who you talk to. And, everyone's got an opinion in this industry, whether you're on my side of the counter or you're on the side that you guys are. So it really just depends. It's always going to change. So, and that's what makes it fun.
Arthur, let's move to baseball. Everybody's hardcore following the playoffs right now, and I got a couple of questions. Firstly, just strictly out of curiosity, is the handle larger on any of the games on a regular basis? Dodgers, Atlanta, as opposed to Tampa Bay, Houston, and there seems to be a ton of money coming in on the Dodgers tonight. Can you give us some feedback?
Yeah, absolutely, Prez. I would say the Dodger series has attracted more action than the Tampa-Houston series. That's no surprise. I mean, the Dodgers are a national team. Obviously, once again, we always have that.
Well,
Arthur DiCesare, we'll get him back on, and if we don't, that's okay, because Teddy's here, and nobody's better than you at game day. It's why you're with us, Teddy. It's why you're on this show every single day, because I think you're as good as it gets in breaking down games.
So let's break some games down then. What game? You want to throw a little MLB at me, or what's your take?
Okay, but first I got to give a shout out to some people in the chat room. We had one of these guys literally writes, Prez, can you give a shout out from Justin to Tommy 2 game? I don't know what he's talking about, but hey, I'm willing to give it a shout out. With that said, let's go. Houston, Tampa Bay, Teddy, after Houston failed with bases loaded, 1 out, I turned to Vivian. I said, they're done. Tampa Bay is going to win the series in 4. The money suggests that as well, a -140. What are you going to do in this game?
So it's really fascinating because Tampa is the epitome of a team, and I wanted to hear Arthur's opinion on this, but they're the epitome of a team the sportsbooks don't want to see. Because the only money that's come in on Tampa all year has been wise guy money, and the Rays have been great. And here in the postseason, the money that's coming on Tampa, you talked about how there was so much more money bet on Dodgers Braves than there was on Rays Astros, partially because obviously we do get a lot of California traffic, and the Dodgers are the more public and popular team. But also because Tampa is one of these teams that has no following, no fan base, no national audience, and frankly, Prez, no superstars. And in a baseball world where things are built in a superstar, where teams with the star power get the TV appearances and get the ratings and get the bettor's interest, a team like the Rays that is fairly anonymous, they just haven't gotten the betting market support. They may well still be undervalued here as -140 favorites in game number 4. I just got a text from Arthur DiCesare. He said, my connection got disconnected. I'm so sorry. My bad. Don't sweat it, Arthur. We will talk to you next week. And thank you for taking time out of your day to hang out with us. Sometimes technical difficulties can and will happen. Prez, you and I are good enough to handle it on the fly. Don't you think? Mostly?
Absolutely, brother. But the great thing is we're going to take a break, come back. You're doing your big game breakdown. Then, Ralph, then the show's over. So we'll be back. 30 seconds, everybody.
First-time customers at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com receive $25 in wager bucks after your first initial purchase. All you have to do is sign up, make your purchase, and you'll get $25 in credit.
Yeah, my bad, man.
Teddy, surprise, surprise. We got Arthur back. Let's bring him on.
I'm back. My bad, fellas. My bad.
Hey, Arthur, it happens to everybody, man. I just wish it happened to Teddy more than our guests.
So to answer your question, Prez, about the MLB. So, yeah, obviously the Dodgers have attracted more money. It's the Dodgers. They're always going to attract more money. And you are absolutely correct. The Dodgers have been getting bet left and right today. I mean, that number is just going to keep going up and up and up. I mean, listen, we've seen it. Obviously, the Red Sox came back from a 3-0 deficit. The Dodgers can't go down 0-3 here. They have to win tonight. This is a must win. This is their season. So I think the people are going to bet the Dodgers. They're going to keep betting the Dodgers. They're going to put the Dodgers on a parlay with the football game tonight or connect it to a Thursday game or something. So there's going to be a lot of Dodger money tonight.
If every bet comes in on the Dodgers, every single bet that you take on that game tonight comes in on the Dodgers, let's just say, would that compare to a Monday night football game result or a Sunday night football game result? Or is it still MLB playoffs just don't get that same level of action?
You know, Teddy, that's a great question. And honestly, after we see what happens tonight, I could probably answer that question better next week. But I would say this, I would say just on everything I've seen and everything, I've experienced in my time working in the sports book, I can't see an MLB game comparing to an NFL game. I think you could get close, but the NFL's king. And we just know that, nothing's going to approach NFL dollars, but we are in this weird situation where, like I said, we don't have NHL and NBA like we normally would. So, you're looking at this game tonight. I mean, what do you have? You have a weak college football game. You have 2 MLB games. The Dodger game is going to be the most heavily bet game of the day. So it's going to attract a lot of money, but my personal opinion is it won't get near what an NFL game gets.
We've got just a few minutes left here with Arthur DiCesare. supervisor over at the Link Racing Sportsbook, one of the Caesars properties on the Las Vegas Strip, at Art Dice 21 on Twitter. He is an excellent follow. I encourage you, give him a follow right now while you're thinking about it. Arthur, you said it yourself. NFL is king. What are we seeing for the early NFL action this week? And how was the handle on that weird Tuesday night NFL game?
Yeah, Teddy, to touch on the Tuesday night game, it was great. I mean, I know you guys had said in one of your opening segments, it's like the third Tuesday game in the last 60 some odd years. But once again, not a lot going on a Tuesday. So it was really cool to have an NFL game. And honestly, the game wasn't good. It ended up being a blowout, but it was a good matchup. You had two playoff teams from last year, two teams that have good records, two teams that have a lot of playoff aspirations this year. So it was definitely a good game and good handle. And as far as what we're seeing for week 6, so far you've seen nothing but brown money, which has moved the spread from 4.5 to 3.5. You've seen nothing but Bengal money. That number opened at 9.5, basically is at 7.5 now. I think the sharps have jumped all over the Bengals at every number. Colts have been a little weird. They've been okay, but people are backing Burrow. People like what they've seen out of Cincinnati. Cincinnati's been pretty good ATS. And then the one total that I've seen move a lot is that Jet Dolphin total, which was 50 and now is at 47.5.
Yeah, you want to bet the Jets
some
over?
Great
I don't
info.
want to bet.
Go ahead,
I don't want to
Teddy.
bet the Jets. It's like I can understand why the money's come on that under. I don't think anyone wants to ask the Jets to do anything right now. Any last questions for Arthur, Prez?
No, dude, I actually loved it. I think the segment was great, even with a break stuck right in the middle. Arthur, we can't thank you enough. I can't wait for the border restrictions to ease up a little. I want to get down to the Link, see you. We saw a picture Joe just put up of the Link Sportsbook, and the food looks outstanding. I'm starving. Look at those burgers. Yum. Anyway, man, we both really appreciate you taking the time out of your day every Wednesday to do this. Thanks so much, guys. Literally a 30-second break, super quick. And then Teddy is right back, and then straight through with Ralph Michaels. Arthur, thank you again.
Thank you, gentlemen. Pleasure as always.
Every Monday is $9 Mondays over at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. Get any best bet or daily package for only $9.
Welcome back to Wager Talk Today, your sports central for gamblers. And it's time for big game breakdown. Let's talk the Dodgers and the Braves MLB playoff action for tonight. We talked about the money pouring in on LA earlier in the show. I'm seeing minus 185s out there right now. It's a prevailing number, total of 9.5. So we've seen a little bit of over money and a lot of Dodgers money. And you can understand why the Dodgers money is coming in. Number one, the Braves aren't a team that is particularly deep when it comes to their starting rotation. Wright, who goes tonight, he's pitched well of late. The markets do not trust him against LA. And of course, it's a Braves bullpen that got slapped around a little bit last night, barely hung on for the win, has been a bullpen prone to meltdowns this season. Hence, the Dodger money that's been steady. Of course, Urias has been great for LA. He's coming out of the pen in the postseason. He allowed one earned run, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk, and 8 innings of work. He's been solid. He's certainly been as effective as any Dodgers hurler in recent weeks. But when you say, how are we going to bet this game? What's the best way to approach it? The Braves are 7-0 in the postseason. They've been underdogs in the first 2 games of the series. They've won. If you've been riding Atlanta, there isn't a chance that I would say, yeah, now's the time to lay 180, 190. I'm even seeing it's still going up. I'm seeing 195s out there on the screen right now, that Wager Talk Live odds screen. I mean, it's nothing but Dodgers money. So if you're betting the Braves and have made money during this 7-0 run, and had them in the first 2 games of this series, no, you don't lay with LA. You ride Atlanta, or you leave the game alone. That said, if you've been losing with the Dodgers, you had the Dodgers game 1, you had the Dodgers game 2. I think you finish the cycle. You come back one more time with LA. I hope you got down earlier before this line exploded, but Dodgers are favored here for a reason. This is the starter they're supposed to hit. I think the Dodgers win this game. The price isn't right. It's flat out not right. But this is one of those situations where how you've bet the series may well have an impact on how you bet tonight's game. I'm a guy that likes to ride streaks. You know, if I've been betting Atlanta, I'm riding them. If I'm handicapping the game, just this game, it certainly does look like an LA Dodgers spot. There's a reason that every wise guy in the country put Dodgers bet in early this morning. So it's not a strong opinion for this contest. It's just an approach that I thought I would share. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Back to you, Prez.
Great stuff, guys. Davey, Darren, Chris, Gordon, Terry, James, welcome to our show. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you always for making comments, keeping our chat room so active. Ralph Michaels up. I can't wait to see what Penny has today. Blue, it's up.
Just blue.
We love you, Ralph.
I was looking for a line. I sent Joe my stuff this morning, and I didn't put a line in the game. So my bad. Teddy, must win in baseball. What does that mean? Well, I'll tell you guys.
They'll get but must win for the team that's down 0-3?
Yeah.
Oh, they got to lose. They got to lose that game. It's like it's 1, 2, 3.
Angle of the day. I wanted to break down the 2 baseball games today. Since 2004, the team that is 3-0 in the series has gone 11-3, sweeping 11 of the 14 times since 2004. Average line of -120, and if they're a favorite of 120 or higher, like they are today, they've gone a perfect 7-0 since 2004, getting the sweep all 7 times. So, you know, when a team is down, defeated, down 0-3, again, 11 of the 14 times they have been swept. So then I wanted to look at the other game today. And in game 3, when a team is 2-0, winning both as a dog, like you mentioned, the Braves did, they've actually gone 10-11 in the 3rd game, with an average line of -109. So basically, you know, it's been a toss-up in that 3rd game. It hasn't been that team 2-0 has gone great or done poorly. I will say this, they are 1-4 as a dog of 130 or more like they are today, and they've gone 7-12-2 over-under. So only 7 overs, 12 unders, and 2 pushes in those 21 games. So 3-0, don't be afraid to lay it. 2-0 if the Dogs won the first 2 has basically been a toss-up game 3.
Though I want to talk about the 2-0 for a minute when it comes to the toss-up game 3, because you're talking about a fairly unique circumstance. The team that won the first 2 games was an underdog in those first 2 games, which means in a normal season, they're coming back home for game 3. This time, it's all neutral site. Yes. You're just switching who's batting last.
Great.
Do you think that has any impact?
Point.
Oh, sure. Clearly that I don't have the database up to look to see how many were on the road and how many away. Absolutely. I've said that through this playoffs. The home road you have to take out of it. And most likely if they won as a dog, they won the first 2 on the road coming home and then the other team. But you also have to remember this. You know, all the other playoff series up until now had off days. So you probably only used your top 3 starting pitchers, where now you're using your number 4 and number 5 starting pitchers. So it's a whole different handicap depending on the strength of your starters and how deep your bullpen is with no off days.
Ralph, outstanding stuff. And Teddy, great question. Yeah, I mean, and it has to be factored in that coming home situation. Ralph, NFL presidential address today, 4 p.m. Eastern. Before we get into the rest of the stuff you're going to be talking about today, what do you got for us on the NFL presidential address? Why should everyone change their day to make sure they're watching it live?
Oh, you get to hear Prez and I babble some things about the NFL, but I'm learning a lot about props. I love Mid-Major Matt. I love that he's on the show. He's giving you back-to-back winners the last couple days. I'm sure he'll give at least another winner today on the presidential address, but I love it. He's a great addition to the show. So he is the reason to watch the show.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. He's such an awesome addition to the show. So, guys, make sure to check that out, 4 p.m. Eastern today, the NFL presidential address. Ralph, what else you got for us today? Oh, by the way, Ralph, tough loss last night, but still on an amazing baseball run. So shout out to you. 17-6, last 23 baseball totals. Just really in the zone, man.
And passing today. Again, I don't think there's value on the game. And, like someone smart told me, Vegas has to put up a number on every game. We don't have to bet it. Don't force those bets, guys. If you don't have a play, just watch the game and enjoy it. Situational play of the day. I'm going to college football. I'm going to lay the chalk with West Virginia minus 22.5 against Kansas. Here's a college system for you guys. College football teams off a win as a dog, like West Virginia is, and with a bye on deck, like they have, laying 11 or more. So you're a solid favorite. You won last week as a dog. You have confidence. You know that you have next week off. Those teams have gone 15-5 and 2 ATS, 76%. And they've also leaned to the under, going 7 overs, 15 unders. And if the total's 46 or higher, 5, 15, and 1 over under. And one point I want to bring out, Kansas is 0-4 ATS. There's a bunch of teams 0-4 ATS. But when you're 0-4 ATS and you're failing to cover by 24 points per game, Vegas just can't make your number high enough. If you are that bad, then that's where you find value. If you have an 0-4 team that has lost their last 4 games by a field goal each game, there's a lot of luck. Anything could turn in a game. But when you're getting beat by the spread by 24 points per game, their closest margin this year, they were plus 18 against Baylor. They lost that game 47-14. They failed to cover by 15 points. Kansas is getting outgained by 375 yards per game. Just amazing numbers how bad they are. I'm going to lay it with West Virginia. Neil Brown has only been a home favorite once at West Virginia. That was the opener last year. He wants that feel-good win for his crowd. I'm going to lay it. And the Wager Talk Did You Know, guys? It's not a wow number, but I want to use this as a teaching moment. My good friend Marco always has a sandwich game. And, he picks different situations when there's sandwiches. Love them to death. But I want to say this. Do not blindly say they are sandwiched between 2 division foes, therefore I want to bet them. That is the absolutely wrong thing to say. You might be able to find positive situations, but so often I hear, they have a division, they're off a division game, they have a division game on deck, and this is a non-division or a non-conference game. Therefore, they're in a bad spot with a division sandwich. Going back to 1989, those people in the non-division sandwich games, 49.8%, 50-50. Since 2010, 49.9%. Since 2015, 50.9%. So they are 51% since they moved the extra point line back in 2015. If you lose your first game against a division foe, you're 51% in that middle game. If you win that first game against a division foe, you're 51%. Exactly the same. So it should not be part of your handicapping. I'm not saying that if you have double revenge against a division foe, it might not be a good spot, but don't blindly use that situation. I did find one caveat. To me, it makes incredible sense. And then I'm going to ask you guys, if you have a non-division game number 2 of the season, sandwiched behind a division game 1 and 3, you are 1-9 in division game, non-division game week 2. To me, that makes sense. You start your season, you're psyched, you're playing a division foe, you have a division foe on deck. In the middle there, game number 2, you're 1-9 ATS. And week number 16 is the only other major negative week. You're 13, 17, and 3 ATS. Why? You're finishing the season. You have a division foe week 17, game number 16. Every other week, though, those non-division sandwich teams, 55.6% from weeks 2 through 13. So, again, not wow numbers, but just something I'm trying to help teach you guys. Matt, is it a myth or is it a fact? Non-division sandwich games are a play against. It's an absolute myth. Don't fall into that trap.
Love it. Go ahead, Teddy.
I was going to say, the like publishing the 50-50 stuff is really important. You know, you say there isn't that shit. And we talk about that a lot with the zigzag theory in the NBA, where it was dead and people still talk about it 20 years later. Blindly betting these flat spots in between divisional matchups or sandwich spots has not paid dividends. I agree. Great stuff from Ralph Michaels.
Awesome show, Teddy. You were good like always, Ralph Michaels, Arthur DiCesare, Marc Lawrence. Guys, thank you all for coming on. 400 of you right now, 94 likes. We're ending this show. 6 more likes, please. Teddy, take us home.
Sure. Enjoy the games tonight. Good luck. And we'll be back again tomorrow on WagerTalk Today in just about 23 hours. Cheers.
First-time customers at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com receive $25 in WagerBucks after your first initial purchase. All you have to do is sign up, make your purchase, and you'll get $25 in credit.